Beyond the symbolism, there's something profound about the practice itself. 108 is enough repetitions that you move through multiple mental and physical stages. You start fresh, you're energized, and then you hit resistance. And then you find a rhythm, and then you struggle again, and then you discover a deeper reservoir of strength. And then finally, you surrender to the flow. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's micro episode of the Legal Yogi Podcast. I'm your host, Vanisha. And last week, we talked about the necessity of pause, about stepping back when life demands it, about navigating health challenges, about having the courage to reset when something isn't working. Today, I want to share with you one of the most famous ways that yogis practice marking those moments of reset. And this is the 108 sun salutations. Now, in the yoga tradition, this practice is typically done on New Year's Day, so January 1st. And it's just a way to kind of ritualize the transition into a new year. Think of this as you would any other traditions you probably grew up doing during the new year. So I know many people do the 12 grapes. You have 12 grapes to represent good luck. You eat a grape for each month. That's what it is. Clearly, I did not grow up doing that tradition because I don't know a lot about it. So if you did, please let me know. Tell me about your grape tradition because I didn't grow up doing that one. But what I did grow up doing, it's probably something that I thought it was just every Black American household, but I actually believe it's Southern households that do this. But it's the food for eating certain foods on New Year's to mark, good luck, all that stuff. So typically I grew up eating black-eyed peas for good luck, collard greens for money, and then cornbread they say it's for gold. So I don't really know the difference between gold versus paper money. To me, both are symbolizing wealth. And I guess it just is us trying to say we welcome any and all money, like come our way. So that's what I grew up doing. But basically, this is going to be similar to any kind of New Year's Day tradition you've done. This is typically what yogis do for New Year's. And here's the thing that I've learned about using this practice as a reset. So thinking about New Year's Day as your reset. Typically, resets don't wait for the calendar. So why are we talking about this at this point in time after the first quarter of the year? Because we can do resets whenever we want. You don't have to wait for the calendar to do a reset. So I'm teaching you about the yogic traditional reset. I'm recording this in April. It's probably not going to launch until May because for some reason I have so many technical difficulties with recording these things. I recorded this 2 weeks ago, but it didn't work. So this is take like 5. But anyway, life demands a reset when life demands a reset. So just like me recording this episode 5 times. For example, that was an example, but also maybe a health diagnosis. After ending a partnership that no longer serves you, after a necessary pause, after any moment when you need to mark that this chapter is closing and a new one is beginning, we can do a reset. So while we are well past January 1st, this practice is just as relevant even now, maybe even more so, because you are choosing your moment of reset and not waiting for the calendar to tell you it's time for another reset. So let's dive into this ancient practice and explore how you can use it to mark your own transitions. So first off, what are the 108 sun salutations, you may be asking? So we are going to talk about what this practice actually is, why the number 108 holds such significance in the yogic tradition. Well, a sun salutation, or Surya Namaskar, which is the Sanskrit, is a flowing sequence of poses that you probably know or are at least familiar with if you have ever taken a yoga class. There are different variations to this one. I mean, I improvise this all the time. I don't think I ever teach the traditional one because it's not my style. But the most common poses in this flow are going to be downward facing dog, plank, cobra, chaturanga, upward facing dog, and forward fold. So one complete round of the Surya Namaskar, of the sun salutation, includes the sequence on both the right and the left side of the body. The practice of 108 sun salutations means completing this sequence 108 times. Yes, y'all, 108 times, 108 planks. Think about that. But it is a full round. It typically takes between 90 minutes to 2 hours, depending on your pace. I know you were probably wondering how long it takes people if they're there doing this all day long on New Year's Day. Okay, so now why 108? Well, this number appears throughout the yogic and spiritual traditions. There are said to be 108 energy lines converging to form the heart chakra. There are 108 Upanishads, which is an ancient yogic text. Malas, the prayer beads that you see yogis holding when they're flowing, those traditionally have 108 beads. In mathematics, 108 is considered to be a Harshad number, meaning it is divisible by the sum of its digits, which represents wholeness and completion. But beyond the symbolism, there's something profound about the practice itself. I mean, 108 is enough repetitions that you move through multiple mental and physical stages. You start fresh, you're energized, and then you hit resistance. And then you find a rhythm, and then you struggle again, and then you discover a deeper reservoir of strength. And then finally, you surrender to the flow. It's a microcosm of life itself. It's the ups, the downs, the resistance, and the flow, the moments you want to quit, and the moments you find unexpected grace. It's a journey, but it's a beautiful journey, let me tell y'all. So the traditional New Year timing represents leaving behind the old year and stepping into the new with intention, with clarity, and a physical practice that embodies commitment. So any significant transition in your life can be your version of your new year. Ending a business partnership, that's a new year. Getting a health diagnosis, that just changes how you approach your body. That's a new year. Coming back to your practice after a long pause, that's a new year. You get to decide when your reset moment is. So why do we do this practice? Why would anyone choose to do something this challenging to mark a transition? Because let's be honest, this is not easy. To give y'all an example of this and how I resonate with what some of you may be thinking, I am fully aware that in life, there are two kinds of people. There are marathon runners and there are not. And I think that this could potentially be somewhere where people would try to equate the two. There are people who do 108 sun salutations on New Year's Day, and there are not. I flip-flop. So I think this is more so using this practice to benefit you in whatever way that means. So the real reasons, one, this is the true definition of a moving meditation. When you're doing 108 repetitions of anything, your thinking mind eventually exhausts itself. You can't maintain a running mental commentary for 2 hours of continuous movement. You just can't do it. At some point, you drop into the body, you drop into the breath, you drop into the pure experience of moving through space. This is where the reset happens. It's not in thinking about your new chapter, but in actually embodying it, in literally moving through the old and into the new. Second, because the challenge itself is the point. A reset isn't supposed to be easy or comfortable. If it were, it wouldn't mark anything significant. The difficulty of 108 sun salutations mirrors the difficulty of any real life transition. And when you complete it, when you finish that 108th round, you've proven to yourself that you can do hard things. You can commit to something hard, that you can stay with the discomfort, that you have more capacity than you thought. And this is powerful medicine when you're navigating challenges like health issues, no, I'm playing, or major life changes. It's the physical proof that we can do hard things. Okay, third, there's something about the repetition that creates space for what needs to surface. Around about sun salutation 30, you might feel strong and confident. You got this. And then around sun salutation 50, you might want to quit. And then around 70, emotions might come up: grief, frustration, joy, gratitude. And then around 90, you might find your second win. Around 105, you might cry or laugh or feel absolutely nothing. All of it's welcome. All of it is part of the process. It's part of the practice. And the sun salutations become a container for whatever it is you're carrying from the old chapter and allowing it to move through you and out of you. So if you're thinking about trying this practice for your own reset moment, here is how to approach it in a way that honors your body and honors your current capacity. First, choose your variation. There are multiple variations of sun salutations, which is why I said people adapt this the most out of any part of the yoga asana, the movements, because this is the easiest to adapt. So some of the variations are more challenging, some are more gentle. I would say if you have a regular yoga practice, you probably already know which variation feels accessible to you. If you are newer to yoga or dealing with injuries or health conditions like I am with my PCOS, you might choose a gentler variation. The practice is about completion and commitment and not about how advanced your poses are. And just to give you a little bit of background on the poses, like I said, a traditional sun salutation is going to be like a forward fold, step back to your plank, lower down, either all the way or halfway. Option to change the plank, you can always take it on your knees. You can always just skip the plank and just drop all the way down. If you want to do something more active, I would take the half plank, the chaturanga, from plank down, and then you come up to either cobra or upward facing dog. So cobra, your whole body is still on the ground, and then you're pressing into your hands and lifting up, kind of like a nice little back bend there. But if you're taking an upward facing dog, you only have 2 points of contact on the mat. It's going to be your hands and then the tops of your feet. Everything else is lifted. So choose the best for you. And to get even more advanced, some people will go from forward fold, they'll jump back to chaturanga, and then they'll take their vinyasa. This is what people are saying, the vinyasa. So second, you would want to set up your space. You'll want enough room to move freely. You want water nearby, maybe a towel. Honestly, whatever you need around. For me, I'm probably going to want good music and I want a playlist that's probably going to last about as long as the practice. This is something I typically do even when I do my bike rides. Some prefer silence. If you prefer a true meditation, you might go this route. Some count each round. Some use a mala to keep track. Some just do kind of sets of 10 and then they track that. Another option would be maybe using some kind of marker, like real marker. So I personally like to set up about 27 markers. I would say like gather your markers so you can just kind of like count off. Cause I know me, I lose count very easily. I get distracted. I can't. So I need a way to physically count. So you might just do like 27 sun salutations to represent, releasing something from the old chapter. And then you do 27 more and they represent honoring the lessons learned. And then the next 27 represent welcoming what's coming in. And then your final 27 represent gratitude for the capacity to do this practice at all. So that's the beautiful thing about 108. You can break it up into sets of 27 pretty easily. And those are 27 sun salutations in a row is challenging enough to get through, but it's not going to completely burn you out if you want to take a break after 27. And then third, pace yourself strategically. The biggest mistake people make is starting too fast, and then they burn out halfway through. I might have mentioned before, I used to be one of those yogis that would do all this fancy stuff in my flow when I would go to classes. Like I would jump back to chaturanga, lower down into like a chin stand, come back, upward dog, come back, downward facing dog. I do not do that anymore. Like I know where my body is at now, and it's not there anymore. Take that into account while you're doing this practice. So it is definitely a marathon and not a sprint. Start at about 60 to 70% of your maximum effort. If you are one of those people that loves to jump back, do your chin stands, all that stuff, handstands, dial it back a little bit. Maybe instead of a handstand, you do a chin stand. Or maybe you skip the stands altogether and make it like your last one. Or you can do the first and the last one if you really need it. I see people doing like multiple push-ups when they are in their flow. You might skip that to do the 108 sun salutations, or you do half, you can, or every other one, however you want to break it up. I would say just find a pace that you can sustain and then link your movement to your breath. Don't let the breath become ragged or strained. And then fourth, expect mental and physical waves. So around sun salutation 20 to 30, you'll likely feel great. You might think, this is easy. Why was I worried? I'm a baddie. I'm a badass bitch. Like, I got this. Do not speed up. Don't do it, y'all. That is a trap. Around 40 to 50, things will start to get hard. Your muscles will start to fatigue. Your mind will start to question, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Who cares about 108 anyway? Maybe 54 is enough. Maybe I'll just stop. That is the crucible moment. This is where the practice becomes powerful. Can you stay with the discomfort? Can you keep going when it's not fun anymore? Keep breathing, keep moving, one sun salutation at a time. Around 70 to 80, something might shift. You might find a rhythm. You might find your flow state, or you might find emotions surfacing, tears, laughter, grief, joy. Just let it all come. The movement creates space for whatever needs to move through you. And then the final stretch, 90 to 108. This is where you prove something to yourself. You're tired, yes, but you're also so close. You can feel the completion approaching. This is where you discover reserves that you didn't know you had. And then fifth, and this is crucial, modify as needed. Listen to your body. If you need to take child's pose, take it. If you need to slow down dramatically, slow down. If halfway through you realize your body is saying, today is not the day for 108, listen to that. There is no prize for pushing through injury or ignoring your body's wisdom. Remember, especially for those of us managing chronic conditions, working with the body, capital WITH, with the body, is always more powerful than working against it. So maybe you reset practice to 54 sun salutations instead of 108. Maybe your reset is going to be 27 that day. Maybe it's committing to do as many as you can with full presence and then honoring when it's time to stop. The number matters less than the intention and the commitment to showing up fully. All right. So after you complete your practice, whether it is 108 or whatever number feels right for your body, take time to rest. Lie down in Shavasana, the dead corpse pose, for at least 10 minutes. Let your body integrate what you've just done. Notice what you feel. Physically, you'll probably feel tired, but also oddly energized. There is a clarity that happens after sustained physical practice. Remember the Elle Woods quote, exercise gives you endorphins, endorphins make you happy. That's exactly what would happen here. Your mind might feel quiet in a way it rarely does. Emotionally, you might feel a sense of accomplishment, or relief, or you might feel surprisingly emotional. All of this is normal. In the hours and days after, pay attention to what shifts. Sometimes the effects of a practice like this are subtle. A little more patience with yourself. Maybe you discover a little more trust in your capacity, a sense that you've genuinely marked something and you can now move forward. Some people like to journal after this practice. Some prefer to simply just sit with the practice. Some like to mark it externally. Maybe you share with your friends. Maybe you post about it. I would post. If I did 108 sun salutations, I would post. So y'all feel free to do that. Or you just privately acknowledge that you did this. You did this. Shout out to you. I showed up. I completed this ritual of reset. Or if you're like me, you believe in treat yourself days, this would be an instance where you can definitely treat yourself after completing this feat. However you choose to honor it, know that you've participated in an ancient practice that countless yogis have used to mark transitions and new beginnings. So whether you try this practice next week or next month or a year from now, when your own life demands a reset, know that it is here for you. This isn't about perfection or athleticism. It's about ritual. It's about intention and the willingness to move through discomfort toward something new. And as I return to this podcast after my own necessary pause, I'm considering when I'm going to do my own 108 practice, because this is definitely a moment of reset for me. And not because it's the beginning of the year. I mean, it's sort of the beginning of the year. It's the beginning of Q2, but also because I'm marking my own transition right now from the old chapter to this new chapter with video, with more authenticity, with a body that's teaching me new lessons every day. And me just accepting the fact that I am a hand talker, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. I did not realize I talked with my hands this much, but this is my authentic self. I was doing all of this behind the scenes before we got on camera. So maybe you'll join me with this 108 salutations on your own timing. But until next week, honor your transitions, trust your timing, and remember, any moment can be your new beginning. So thank you, my friends. That's all I have for you today. If you found this helpful, please share this episode with someone you think would also benefit, or do me a favor and hit that little subscribe button on your screen. If you would like to stay in the loop on all things the Legal Yogi Podcast, follow us on Instagram at Legal Yogi Podcast, or you can follow me at legally_yogi. Tune in next time. But until then, thank you for listening. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be strong. And may you be free. Namaste.